So today is Friday, February 27, 2026. My name is Kelly Lee Mitchell. And today I'm just going to do a very quick recording for you. And I'm just wanting to describe to you from my perspective, my own personal perspective, you as an orb or you as an energy being, and just how I personally see it as me, Kelly. And maybe how you can understand maybe how you give and receive energy, okay? So I'm just going to put up a pen drawing that I have done very quickly, and I've kept it black and white because I want you to almost imagine that you cannot see color, all right? As in the same respect to when you open your eyes, you see mostly what everyone else sees around you, okay? You have a different perspective and color depending on how your vision is. But you do have the basic understanding of we all are sharing the same screen, the same vision, or the same reality, okay? However, let's imagine you have no vision, and by that I mean we're relating that to energy. So all of these energy bodies that people talk of, your chakras and interference, psychic attacks, everything like that, you can't actually see that with your own two physical eyes. Most people cannot, all right? So this would be, you could call it your second sight, but this would be this invisible energy. This would be like if we can't see color, we know that it exists. If we were colorblind, in some version, there's many different versions of that. But I'm putting a pen drawing on here. It's just a rough draft. But just to kind of show you the idea of, energy exists even if you cannot see it. So it's a black and white drawing, okay? And so imagine yourself in a sphere. And you can think of a sphere as a gerbil ball, okay? Or you can think of it as a crystal ball, right? But then put yourself in the middle of a sphere. Right? And then it's almost you have your head, and then you have your two arms that would go up to the top if you were to raise your two arms above your head, like you were going to get into jumping jack position, And then you have your two legs at the bottom kind of spread out a little bit, all right? And you're floating around in this sphere. And then, I'm not science here or anything like that, but this is just kind of how I envision energy and matter. Well, it's not matter, but it's just kind of how I envision us as an orb, all right? So you could look at it from what somebody might see me as, or, something that's not human, and they might be seeing different versions of me as, or you can think of it as how we are existing here on this planet in human form, although we have this invisible orb or this sphere that circles around us, okay? So it's like, because how does gravity work? I have no idea. And I can honestly look that up, and I will. I will Bill Nye, the science guy, that. However, I don't have the time to do that in this moment because I'm just giving you my own opinion on how I view matter, okay? It's just my own opinion. It's a creative way of how I envision us and how we stick to the planet. So that's gravity. So it's like, how do we stick here? Okay, so let's go back to you. You're in a sphere. So I imagine, all right, I'm going to take you to the beginning. First, you're a spirit. You're in this sphere, all right? Not anybody can see you as a human being, but sometimes in light, sometimes in certain photos, you might catch this orb or this, or by orb, I mean a circular shape that is also sometimes solid. If you could see it from, you could imagine it as a bubble. Like you would imagine this to have different angles that it could go beyond what you can see as a 2D reflection. So you would think of this as a 3D. So it's some type of sphere or circle or ball, something like that. Okay, but it's clear because you can't really see it now. If light reflects off of it, maybe you could see it like a rainbow. Okay, so that's kind of how I can imagine it, as a bubble, or a crystal ball, a quartz ball, or something like that, right? But you're on the inside, right? So let's say you haven't been born yet, you're not a human yet, but you're just this little bubble floating around. And then you're a spirit, okay? That's what I like to call the orb. The orb is the spirit. And so that's your protective case. And even though it looks clear, it looks like a bubble, it's something that should never and can never be popped. So it would be a protective sphere that would surround you, and it's clear, all right? Now, how do you get the colors in there? Well, I'm about to explain them. So what happens is first you're a spirit and you're this orb, you're this clear bubble, all right, full of energy, this electric little sphere bubble, all right, and it's clear. Barely anyone can even notice you unless they look really hard, kind of in their peripheral. So it's really hard to even see you at that point. Then you find a parent that you want to become housed with, and we'll get to cursings and things later like that, but basically you find a parent. So then you find it could be the male or the female. Not everybody chooses, it's like you do choose a specific person. If all was going to plan, you would choose a specific person to come through, okay? So the spirit chooses the parent, all right? So then the parent comes on. If they haven't been stolen, we haven't gotten to that yet, all right? Well, I'm just giving you the basics of it. So the spirit comes out. Now, inside of the spirit is all of that energy, all of that matter, okay? That's the soul. Now, soul has possibly, depending on who you are, many different lifetimes. So that is the soul. Now, that's all of your memories, okay? So that would be all of your memories from several different lifetimes. That would be, your Akash. People call your Akash or your Akashic records. That would be your soul memories connected to other soul beings. A timeline, a record of what's real, of what's true, especially for you. So especially if you're this individual human being, and we have evolved from different creatures from different planets that have come here to planet Earth, which planet Earth is a safe space, okay, from different planets that have now had to come here. So you have a soul record with your soul tribe, okay? So you would have something separate, the ones that you cannot see. So this is many different lifetimes. And then the ones that you now are here with. So it's like if you were stolen away, you were a captive, and then you were an immigrant, you would have different soul memories from different lifetimes in different areas. And so that's how it gets your Akash. Different Akash gets different for every person because their soul memories are different than another person, especially if you're going to think of galactic spheres and where they have come from, their soul origins. So then inside of that sphere, inside of the orb, which the orb is your spirit, inside of that is your soul, which holds the memory of everything of who you are and where you've been, okay? And then you decide to come down to human life form, which is, we call it 3D or however you want to see it. So you're a human and you decide to be born there. And you're a descendant of many different life forms. But now here we are. This is where we stand after history. We look like humans. And it's year 2026 as we've recorded it, okay? But we're still trying to get back the truth of who we are and what has been stolen and save who we are, to reproduce as different species, different creatures, different aliens, however you want to call it. But now we all look like humans. But we do have rights that are all exactly the same. So you cannot take away those rights. Like, we are progressive enough. Don't let anybody's lifetime in history become non-existent as if it didn't matter. Do not erase the progress of where we have come to in year 2026. All of those deaths, all of those lives, everything, it is connected, okay? So do not erase history, because a lot of people are reincarnated, and history is just another record in the earth, like how you look at soil and rock over time. It will not go away. It did happen. Do not minimize any life or experience that happened in anybody's lifetime. So changing history, rewriting a creepy story because you have a plan in your specific weird group is not appropriate ever. Okay, so you're a sphere. You're a spirit inside your spirit that carries your soul of all of your lifetimes, okay? Because your soul is tormented, man, especially if you've lived many lifetimes. Was me is what the soul is feeling for so much. I think it feels all pain, all joy, but especially if you've been hurt. So we could get into the next chapter, but if you've been cursed, if you've been stolen from going into the soul, or the, not the soul, you're the soul, okay, but like the body that you wanted to go into next. So it's like if you're a human and you die, you do have to wait a couple centuries. I think centuries, 100 years or something. You have to wait at least 2 to 3 centuries before you can, if you're a royal, if you're immortal, to come back into this 3D plane. There are many planes, but we understand it as 3D, as people call it, okay? So if somebody stole your chance to come back in its human form, and this is your opportunity to, it's like, it's like, let's imagine you have all of these other planets. I mean, you hear of planet Lyra, you hear of many different things. I don't have time to go into this because it's a recording. Okay, it's already 10 minutes. But you have all these other planets in space. And then they all get attacked by what looks like a human as who we are now, and what you call an alien, plus just a scientist, creepy person who doesn't like the lusciousness of beauty, of life, of experience, of all the different flavors, okay? Plus it's like, if you go back to the distorted divine masculine, distorted divine feminine, I mean, they're not divine, okay? So like the color, the flavor is not there. So if you have somebody like that coming down that just looks like a human that is jealous of all of the beauty and the flavor of life is who we are, they're going to look like this human weird creature, all right? And are going to be attacking. But then you come down here and you're on planet Earth, and then now you look like human, but you have all of this different part in you that you share with each other. I really got sidetracked, so I'm really sorry about that. I have interference. So sorry, just be patient with me for a second. I don't know, that's a B because I had a good train of thought going on. Like, sometimes my memory, when I get invaded, it goes to a complete blank, and then I have to start all over, and I don't have the equipment to pause and stop and pause and stop, so I just have to keep going. I apologize for that. All right, so now you're here, and while you're awaiting the space between being born into a human to come here on the 3D plane, you're just existing as an orb, okay? But you're really close to that space to being born again into a human being, all right? And so that's how sometimes in photographs and things like that, you would see what looks like a bubble, or a circle of light or things like that. So let's imagine here we are as human, and we're still existing as a human, but we're also still that orb, still that spirit. And then the soul now resides still in the spirit, which is in the orb, okay? The orb and the bubble is the sphere that you cannot see around our human body, all right? But if you were to put out your arms and your legs, like if you were in jumping jack position, you can sort of get the idea that you could draw a circle around that. That circle would be invisible, just like the air, that we're consuming, everything that's around us. It's invisible. So you're in this sphere now as a human being. You're also that soul that was in the sphere, that's in your spirit, is now also inside of you, your human body. So now you have that invisible spirit around you, but you also have all the souls within you. And now that's combined with your one human lifetime here in this moment now. So that's going to be combined with your heart and your brain, and how you combine your physical body with the connection with your mind, with how you receive the information of what's going on around you, okay? And then how you handle that and move it forward to whatever you're going to do. So that would be, receiving, but then giving. It would be your heart, it would be your intelligence. So then you're a moving, working body now with all of the feelings, but completely consumed in whatever your day-to-day minute is. But then you have all the different lifetimes, and the souls now kind of crammed down within your spine, okay? They're really within your spine, all right? And then you can imagine yourself back in that sphere, okay? So that's one section of it. So there you are in this sphere with all of a human body spread out, all right? And then you're walking around planet Earth. So now as a human being, you have all this protective energy within your sphere with everything that's happened to you within your soul that nobody knows but you, okay? That's what's inside of you. And then you have the protective casing around you that is your spirit, like how you protect yourself, how you live in life, all right? That's your spirit. That's the casing surrounding you. Just nobody can see it, but it's part of you. So then you have your spirit and your soul, and then you have your human body that is taking in all of the information on all of your daily activities. You have those three different things. Now, you have your human body. So then you have what we have on top of our head, which is the very top of our head, which is your crown chakra, okay? Now, that's a source where information can come in And then it can also come out of your body, loop around, and come back in, okay? So it's kind of like two different directions of coming in. It's coming in from, some people call it source, but it's coming in from outside of your spirit, okay? Well, and down from the center of your head. And then as the energy goes down through your body, all right, it also comes back up through your body, comes back out through your head, and then just makes a very quick little loop and then goes right back down inside of your body. So that doesn't really come way back outside. It's just a very quick little loop to keep you connected but an individual, all right? So that's kind of like how that branches off. But so then you're inside of there and you're a human. And then the human is getting energy from inside of the crown chakra, but it's also going to be giving and receiving energy from outside of the hands, outside of the soles of the feet, and outside of the base of your spine, all right? And so those specific energy points are always going to be moving out to planet Earth and then up to outside of your orb of your spirit that will connect you to all the heavens or the sky that would be above, okay? So you're sort of anchored here. And then you could envision the ground, is your planet Earth. And the ground has a very beautiful, deepest red vibration to it, or the color would be a very dark red, would be the energy or the chakra of planet Earth, okay? So you connecting here, like when you bleed as a human being, when oxygen hits your blood, it turns red, okay? That's the color of being human, of being solid, of being alive here on our 3D plane, okay? So then you can picture the colors, okay? So now it's invisible, but you can imagine a color. So that's when you can think of, now my human body has these different energies inside me, And then some people, as they go up your spine, okay, so your base chakra, the base of your tailbone would connect you here closest to the plane of Earth, which would be a red vibration, a root chakra, okay, a red root. A tie here is you, a human, now being born for as long as you're born, as your spirit, your soul's within your spirit, all within your different lifetimes make up your soul. And then now you come here as a human being born from a parent, okay? But you have the intelligence of everything that you've ever existed with. But you can only use the capacity of that to whatever your human body can give you, okay? We are limited, very, very limited now at this time, because if you want to go back to what we were talking about, we've been invaded. If we looked like different creature or human hybrids that came from different creatures with wings, hybrids, obviously now we look like humans. So what happened to all those creature hybrids that were existing to begin with, that were not harmless? Well, an alien came in. An alien, that is when the human form that calls themselves Adam and Eve, that created the new rule, okay? But we don't have to get into that now. Either way, you're a human. You're just existing, okay? So your feet, your souls have this beautiful angelic white energy that's within you. It's this golden white energy that you're getting because you're combining everything that's with you in your soul and your spirit. That was just this angelic, beautiful orb that's full of a rainbow and that's full of a star, okay? So that's going to mostly shine as just this golden white or golden silver light until you're able to use your physical matter as a human being and all of its different musical energies or vibrations to create a rainbow, okay? So the rainbow is created inside of your spirit, inside of that orb that is also inside of you as a human. And you can't see that. I mean, I don't know if you can see that with certain technology, but I have never seen that personally. I don't know the science facts by it. So you have energy that you're getting in through your crown chakra, which would be through if you spread out your arms into jumping jack position, it would be, from the top of your thumb from one angle all the way to the top of your front thumb from the other angle, like a big rainbow, okay? But that open sphere right there, when you're doing a jumping jack, your upper arms, that's connecting you to your total environment around you, all four directions, plus up top, okay, your heavens or your crown chakra, whatever energy is coming through the top. Then you have the base of your spine, like if you're doing a jumping jack, and it's your legs that are moving out. So whatever's coming from your legs, your soles, all right, the soles of your feet, and the base of your spine is going to be the other end of the sphere, okay, and that's going to connect you to the planet. Now, if you're spinning around, that would probably make you pretty dizzy. So it's almost like gravity is here because your feet are supposed to make you as a human stand upright. So you have the red root here to stand upright, and then you have the other connection, like a rod or a beam or a dowse kind of thing to keep you connected to the heavens or the suns or the other planets, stars, moons, however you want to call it. Okay, so like that's your anchor here. So you're not like spinning around like a gerbil, because that would make you really sick. But inside, you have all of these different circles. So you can imagine yourself, now you're reborn as a human, you have these different rings, okay? You have the outer ring, that would be that sphere, okay? That would be the sphere that would be around you. Then you have these other two rings that are inside of the sphere, okay? Which the sphere is your spirit. Now you're inside of the sphere, which is your soul. Well, the soul is moving through different levels of time, because you can be reborn, okay? Especially if you're immortal. Especially if you can be somebody who is constantly working on your destiny, changing your timeline. Now, this is something that grows over time. So then let's imagine you have two other rings that are interconnected. And these two other rings that are connected are moving really fast. So that's what's creating momentum. Inside of those other rings is how you're processing your information. You're processing your information now, here, right now, and then you're also processing information about what you might do with your next situation. So that's almost like predicting time, but then also it is going to be molding into what is going to create the final outcome of time. So it's kind of like when you have the choice to make, that's every kind of circumstance is going to have a different type of consequence, whether good or bad, okay? So you have all of these different things. Some people call it gears, but I think of it as a fan, because in the very middle of those, some of these, so let's just say you had 3, but then let's say you have a lot more, okay? And then they start moving around you, and that's creating color. So then just to put it out there, it's like, in your most basic terms, we could go into detail later, but it's already over 20 minutes. So then let's say those 3 rings are creating not only momentum in your timeline, which would choose your fates, okay, your destiny, and how time and space are woven together, because we'll all have those 3 rings together here right now. All right, that's how we all know what time it is. We're all here together at this, same spot, wherever we are, as a human being alive, experiencing oxygen and the color of red, people keep wanting to say vibration, but it's more than vibration. Like, it's not really song, because it's just like, it's these invisible threads that connect you here. Like, we're all here. This would be like the red root, the red planet. Okay, what I mean? Even though it looks like planet Earth, but the color would be red. That's the anchor you hear. So then inside of your spirit, which makes up all your souls, that's how you're generating color, because you're taking information, soul records from the planet, from the red root, okay, into you. And then you're taking stuff from everything on your outer, plus everything that you walk on that's experienced the red root, okay, if that makes sense. It's like, if your soles of the feet were all the lives that have ever been here, and then the red root that came from your tailbone was the connecting thread that connected you to the earth. So you're connected to all of the record of history here on planet Earth. But then your arm space, everything that comes up from your thumbs all the way until, your arms touch each other, that would be everything that would be in space that's above planet Earth, plus all of the other directions, forward into both sides and above. So you're also connecting to that. And then inside, as you collect the information, that's how you that's how you form your rainbow, your rich, vast universe of color, okay? And that's what makes you human. And that's why it's so important. Like, that is the miracle, okay? So in the very center of these two, certain types of human beings that have been awarded because of their work, of their invisible locks, of how they react to certain situations, how they carry themselves in situations, how they are a leader, how they form or conform, however it is, there is a miracle of their DNA that forms and twists. So you could almost imagine like those circles in the middle, those rings, now can almost twist and bend, okay? Like, they can bend like a rubber band. They can go back and forth or inside out. that's a part of DNA that cannot be altered, that cannot be changed. And then that would be sort of an immortal being or a royal being. Like, they have the ability to sort of bend and move back and forth, because that is when you have formed a solid 3 human being. That's when 1 plus 1 equals 3. They're fully combined. So if you like to think of it as a fan, then, because you could think of it as you have your sphere on the outside, okay, but now it's just a circle. Then you have your other 2 circles that were on the inside, but if you sort of twisted the middle of each of those circles, now it's almost like you have a fan. So now you're the energy source plus the earth plus the above space that's all around you from everything. You're now the energy source that spins your fans. So you can think of your chakras as different fans that are spinning, and depending on how healthy you are in so many different aspects is how well your fan is spinning and how you're generating colors of the rainbow. What you're creating, what you're receiving on so many different levels, okay? So that's just kind of the basic of it. You could think of it almost like, I think of the number 9, almost like a spiral or a key, because it's almost like if you put your finger in the middle and you spun it around, it's like that inner space, or it's like a shell, if it was spinning, like that's what's going to generate like a windmill or a fan, like to keep the spiral going, So that's just another way to think about you as a human being here now. So it's like you're here anchored, but you have all of these different invisible spaces within you that are constantly putting out energy and receiving energy. And that keeps you here. And then once you pass away as a human being, you might not see your flesh anymore or your bones, but that sphere is still the same. That spirit is still alive. That's all, that you just become another part of your soul, okay? Some people are really connected to their most recent lifetime. That part of their soul is connected to, they're not finished here right now, you know what I mean? And then other people are wise and are waiting to either come back or are just here as a guide. You know what I mean? Or it can travel back and forth. It's like a mirror, like you can have that too. So that's just a quick demonstration of how you are as a sphere or as an orb. And then don't forget, it's like you're a part of the sunshine. So it's like you're born through the sun and the moon. You're born through the light and through the darkness, like all at once. Like that's the spontaneous combustion. Well, we have evolved. So both are true. So yeah, and then I don't know if anyone's ever thought of this, I'm supposed to say it, it's almost like you can think of your chakras as fans, okay, which is like, then you have your spine, and it's almost like you have your fans on the inside of your spine that go up, like a rainbow from, red to white, if you want to go that far, or you also have the ones on the back, okay, so it's like they're always spinning, they're always moving, so that's where it's like you can be overextending or too depleted, but it's because you actually have 2. So that's when it's like a being that would become whole. So that's when I say 1 plus 1 equals 3, or you finally become a divine being. It's like, well, you're actually integrated because you were able to get both of those going at the exact same time in the exact same type of harmony, so that's like the final invisible lock is the both front and the back coming together to create the final piece of what is the whole of the human that maybe the brain might not even be able to fully experience, because we are human. It's like we're human prisoners at this point. What the truth of who we are is in our record, in our soul, in our spirit. And that's why if you hurt somebody over too many lifetimes and their spirit starts to die, that casing, that clear, beautiful, angelic casing that's around them starts to die, that is when you start to have world destruction and the world starts to fall apart, and you have really scary things, because it's like if the spirit cannot survive, whether in a human body or not, then we could not have a planet Earth, because it's almost like we're sort of in disguise taking turns right now, and that's how you can also consider it still being the war of good versus evil, or spiritual warfare and things like that. But really, this is just another stage where we're here to create. It's just like, it's like you got to college and you're in an AP class, it's like you got to the next stage type of thing. So that's all it should really be. It's just we've been invaded at this stage the people who have invaded us, they do not want us to use our intelligence or come together. And not everyone is the same. You do have different divine beings that have certain energetic connections with other people. That's just who they are. So if you didn't get in the way of natural spiritual connections, you would see a lot of beautiful things. And it would be organically beautiful things. You wouldn't have to worry about anything going awry or the computer's going up or the bank collapsing. It would be the opposite of that. You just don't need to worry about it. That's why it goes back to the distorted male and female and being jealous of just not being, divine. But you have to earn your divinity by being a good person. But it should be fair. Like, it honestly should be fair. I should never hear the statement, life's not fair. Like, that's like, excuse me? Because I'm pretty sure I'm putting in all the work and you're not. So you're just like, could you get out of here? I mean, so that's almost like if you really wanted to get serious, but let's just make it basic serious. Someone stole my crown. You think you know the truth, and you really backhanded it into a creepy clip or cliff note, and it doesn't make sense. And you're hurting everyone because you're not intelligent. Because you stole the seed. Because you were jealous. That is what it is. But then you're like, I can't do it. I need your help. And keep me at your slave. Like, excuse me. Just you step aside. Is that creep? Is that gross? But anyways, that's you as a sphere. Whether you're within a body or now you're a human and you're the sphere, you just can't see the energetic sphere. Okay? So, and then you could connect it to, if people were going to say ascended master and things like that, or talking to ghosts or talking to spirits, it's like, if you've integrated enough to connect to both sides, all sides, and different lifetimes, you surely could. And when people break in and scientists break in, it's like they understand that we all have our own soul records. So if you break in, if you invade all that space, if you have developed this kind of technology that not everybody is aware of, and you do illegally invade people's privacy and space, it's everything from a body rape, soul rape, a brain rape, everything. I mean, that's highly illegal and goes against all of our rights. So again, do not minimize what our rights are and what we have already established. But okay. Thank you, and have a great day. Oh, real quick. I got 2 new decks today. I got card decks. They're standard bicycle playing decks. And I'm going to use one for major arcana, gods and goddesses. And then I'm going to use one for the minor arcana. Okay? Hustlers and gangsters. And then I got a really sweet tarantula joint. Because I got a donation today. That was my whole point. Sorry, I don't have any money. I'm not making any income. But I did get a generous donation. And I paid it back in full. And it's kind of like, I know I'm an extremist, but I $40 goes so far. And I had this creative idea and I had to carry it through. So I got a tarantula, which is $8. I got my bicycle cards, 2 decks, and then I have a little bit left over for emergencies, but anyways, okay, have a great day. That's you as an orb, as a spirit. You're the spirit. Don't let your spirit die. Remember, okay, that'd be my advice. Remember, so like if you were tormented or you felt like you were failing or you felt like you've been through a lot, like a lot of people who've experienced harsh tragedy, okay, soul rips, soul tears, they not only have it's like they've grown. She's like, thanks a lot. I didn't want that medal kind of thing. But it's like you earned it, okay? Because it takes you into a different part of yourself where you have to dissociate. But it expands your human mind because your soul had already knows that pain, okay? That's how you're able to stay conscious of my daily reality. Plus, I can feel the pain of not only what I've experienced here, because it's relatable to pain I've experienced in previous lifetimes, okay? So it's a soul record. So the more that a person gets hurt, now we're in physical form human, it's like we're very delicate and fragile, okay? Our soul has already been tormented in her. So it's like what we have to do as a human being, what you have to do most importantly of everything is bring back love into yourself, love into another human being, because we have to protect the spirit from dying, from completely burning out. Like, If we were a fire to keep us all warm, then it goes down to a small little bonfire, but there's a huge group of people, so only a small little group are actually getting warm. Then what if it was to, a torch, and then down just to a lighter? That's not even going to keep one person warm, but that's the only light that's left. It's like that would be your spirit becoming diminished over many different lifetimes of being hurt as a human. Okay, your soul can't take anymore, so your spirit is dying. That is why joy and love are so important. So we have no time for jealousy. We have no time for a mean girl, a mean guy. I'm a bad bitch. Nice jeans. Like, we don't have time for that. Style is welcome if you can be cool. Like, if you can spread love and hang out, please come along, because that's how we have fun. But other than that, if you're going to be the opposite, that's what creates these soul tears and the spirit death, okay? And you don't want that, because we continue to survive even not in a human being, because it's like I said, it's like a window or a mirror. You're just existing on another side, but you can't let that orb, that spirit, die, all right? So that's just my interpretation. I'm not sciencey, so... Anyways, have a great day. Happy day. Is it Friday? Is it TGF? It's TGIF. It's been a really good day so far. I got some crystals, some stones, and I spent most of my money on my stones. Don't tell anybody. But those were super important. I was so mad because if you go to a crystal store or a rock store and you bond with a stone, you find out it's like $100. Like, shh. Wait, like, you can't leave the store. What am I going to do? Obviously, I would never shoplift or whatever. I've been there, done that. But I would never do that. I was a teenager, now I'm 40. But either way, it's hard because you bond. It's like leaving a pet store. I know. I have this one house. I had to weigh it, and I was like, I don't have enough money, but now I got my iron. It's like, please don't anyone adopt Opal. Opal, I'm going to be back. It's hard to explain, but if you're like me, you understand. Okay, have a good day. Bye.